A foreign Star Works production.
Hello there. Do you like music and bourbon? Well, you came to the right place. Welcome to the Bourbon Groove. Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of the best damn podcast that tastes music when it drinks the bourbon. That's right, sucker. You're tuned into the Bourbon Groove. Before we gobble on the gizzard like a true freak, if you feel so inclined, please like the show, follow it, caress it, and tell a friend. Yeah. This is our Thanksgiving episode. So, a couple of weird things that we're doing. One, we're recording at the 45 degree studios, which I'm now calling it what it is now because that's what the temperature is currently. We have a space heater going, one of those fancy oil ones that heat up over time. So I've already watched a few degrees go up, so we should be golden. Hopefully I will not freeze to death before then. But we have that. We're also talking into the microphone a lot different than we normally do. We're actually like talking into it like a normal person would instead of projecting really loudly so you can hear what's going on. I'm actually trying this whole getting really close to that microphone like this, baby, and talking to you. But yes. But anyway, for the few folks who listen to the show in different countries, let's tell you what Thanksgiving Day is all about. Okay, it says here, a mysterious masked maniac terrorizes residents of Plymouth, Massachusetts, 1 year after a Black Friday riot ended in tragedy. Picking off victims one by one, the seemingly random revenge killings soon become part of a larger, sinister plan. Oh, whoops. That was the plot of the scary movie called Thanksgiving. Sorry. I need to get some drink on here, obviously. So here we go. The first Thanksgiving was in 1621, and though there's a lot of hate on this holiday and what it represents for both then and now, it's when folks gather around like their drinking company distilling bourbon and shit. And though celebrated previously, it took Abraham Lincoln in 1863 to make it into a federal holiday. The president made the last Thursday in November the Thanksgiving that we know, but in 1865, Andrew Johnson made it the first week of December because, as we all know, he was not a fan of the North Rising anyway, or revenging or aggressing, whatever it is, and it shifted to the first week of November, and in 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt moved the holiday from the first Thursday in November to the last Thursday of November to help boost the economy during the Great Depression, which has been there ever since. Now, you probably weren't expecting to hear this whole history story about Thanksgiving. Well, you're welcome. I'm starting to drink. It's already hitting me pretty hard. I've been up all day long, so I'm tired as well. And, a few things here and there that are propelling me to talk about nonsense. But let's talk about the controversy, okay? And yes, we will be doing a music tasting later in this show, but I wanted to set the stage for this now, then, forever misconstrued holiday. After considered a national day of mourning for indigenous folks, as it symbolizes when, the white man came and, fucked it all up. And that might not be true or one-sided like that. It certainly was the beginning of the end for the people who were already living on Turtle Island, so I can see that. But kind of like Donald Trump's cameo in Home Alone 2, it was the beginning of the end. The original feast lasted 3 days because, well, back in the day, people did things more slowly. They weren't in a rush to get in line at the beaver pelt store on Black Friday to get a pelt for a bushel of wheat or some shit. It was about connecting all to all. You know what I'm saying? And my throat's a little dry, so I feel like my personality's gone too when I'm like talking to this microphone. I feel like I'm like in a different kind of persona. We'll see if we'll keep this going from here on out, but right now it makes me kind of feel like I'm inauthentic. But it is what it is. We're just having fun here. Again, it's freezing cold. I'm wearing 4 layers of clothing right now, so hopefully everything will be fine and hopefully it won't affect the show too much. Like last week's show was like last minute, like let's get this thing going. So if you were really expecting like one of the best shows of all time, I'm sorry that I disappointed. Maybe we'll probably do a remix of that episode within a couple of weeks because I feel like I could have done a lot better there, but there's a lot going on that day. If you hadn't listened, my kid had come home from karate very sad, and a lot of being a parent came into full view. So I wasn't in my right mind last week. And so we started drinking a little bit earlier, and I had a lot of CBD. Crazy stuff happened. So I don't even know because believe it or not, I don't listen to my own show, so I don't know if it was good or not. But what I remember, it could have been better. So sorry to go on that little random tirade or whatever you want to call it. When you're at the cross, is it a cross on the road? Why? No, and I understand that I go a lot. It's because I'm trying to think of something intelligent, and is what intelligent people say before they say something, okay? But I feel like I'm going on the fork of the road and going in the wrong direction, so let's just get back to the show. But my fingers are officially frozen. We are drinking the expression that we're covering tonight, and it's good. But that being said, I had some pretzels a moment ago and a little bit of candy corn, and it's making it taste not so good. But that's strange because it's actually really amazing without all that artificial nonsense. We'll dig into that in just a minute, but let's continually talk about this Thanksgiving and get on to the point of the show, shall we? So, though the holiday isn't made up to appease the Italians after a lynching of 11 innocent citizens falsely accused of murdering a cop in New Orleans, like Columbus Day was, creating yet another divide with the indigenous folks left over after the attempted mass extinction of their people, I feel like I'm white explaining here, so let's stop all of that. But I am from Southern Arizona. I had Native friends, and I've been on reservations. I feel like I can at least tell you the truth because the shit's given me, on my part, at least, the things that I've picked up. But anyway, this Thanksgiving seems to have lost its meaning, so boo-hoo accordingly. These days, you'll likely hear people refer to it as Turkey Day and not Thanksgiving. I know I've heard that a bunch, but I even saw a flyer for the grocery store near here calling it that, but that's also the price of gouging a grocery store as well, so fuck them twice accordingly. It was a holiday meant to bring people together, not hand a megaphone to your annoying cousin. But as folks look back at the history of it all and what it could mean and how it could affect them, say 400 years ago, folks seem to look to sully the day instead of taking what they've learned and applying it accordingly. The cancel culture is wild. So, to give you an example, I've always celebrated Thanksgiving. It brings family together. It brings friends together. The last time I worked in retail was when I had to go back to work at 6 p.m. on Thanksgiving, and that's when I was like, nah, dog, I want to enjoy this meal with my friends and family and not have to go work and sell cheap shit to cheap-ass people all through the night and then come back 4 hours later and keep it going. That's when we said, no thanks. So that's what Thanksgiving's for me. But no, really, seriously, though. I love Thanksgiving. I like making stuff. One of my favorite... my very first times where I'm like, this is a really cool experience was a Thanksgiving, I think back when I lived in Phoenix, maybe a year or two into it, Phoenix, Arizona, if you're wondering. I had next door neighbors who were from India, and they were like, hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I'm like, well, nothing. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? They're like, nothing, probably having you guys over. So we went over and we had dinner, and it was delicious. We had curried chicken and all these different Indian dishes, and then we added some Americanized dishes as well. And I told my boss the next day, he's like, "Oh, it was like you had a traditional Thanksgiving. You had it with Indians." And keep in mind, he is half Native American, so just want to put that there. But that was Columbus's America, damn it! Oh boy! But that's all. That's about it in a nutshell. Now, the holiday is a good excuse to see family you never talked to and watch football, of course, or treat yourself to some great bourbon. And if you're like any other person in the world and you're like thinking, maybe I need to step up my bourbon game and bring something nice to Thanksgiving, you're probably asking yourself, Self, I wonder what Tyler at the Bourbon Groove thinks I should bring to the festivities this year. Well, I got a great idea that's extremely original. Bring a bottle of wild turkey. Yeah, why not? I'm sure that nobody will expect that. It's relatively inexpensive and it's very easy to come by. Psych. But I know you all probably think it's hilarious when you bring yourself a bottle of wild turkey to Thanksgiving. Really hilarious. And truthfully, it does go well with the holiday. The many complex flavors you go well with any additional or any traditional dish you can think of at all. Well, on Turkey Day. Even I used it as an excuse to grab a rare breed last year, but this year we're looking a lot differently, okay? After over a year of slumming it, we finally got a decent liquor cabinet up and going, so going to the store to grab a wild turkey or something would be the first step into an intervention for me, and I really don't want to bring a bunch of people up here, make them inconvenience themselves, tell me about their feelings and stuff that I'm not going to be listening to. not interested. So we're just going to go ahead and not do that this year. I landed on an expression I thought was Albert Pujols to the holiday, and I wasn't even expecting it. So Thanksgiving's been great. The best one that I think that I've had so far is a couple years ago. We went back to Arizona to introduce my kid to his extended family, and he loved it. He loved the Western world, all that stuff. Because this was in Tucson, Arizona. We went to Tombstone after that. It was a blast and a half, and to have like a Thanksgiving with family was a big deal because we haven't done that in years. I've been making turkey dinner since 2016 when we moved to Nashville with would eventually be my wife. And I remember the first year the oven broke down, so I had to use a slow cooker to cook it, and it was super juicy, but super not what I was going for because you gotta get that crispy skin. You know what I mean? How am I gonna make crispy skin without an oven? I think we had a toaster oven at the time, but it was on its way out as well. What happened was like one of the coils in the oven died out. And what sucked was I just replaced it a couple days before because it had also died. And then I knew exactly what happens when I looked at it. It lit up and then popped. I was like, yep, we are not having turkey today. But I ended up figuring out a way, cutting it in half, sticking it in the slow cooker, making it happen. Whatever that was, I ended up breaking the slow cooker by doing that. I don't know how, but it ended up cracking, and I got rid of it the next day. So those are the Thanksgiving I've been dealing with. But I've been making Thanksgiving dinner for years. My wife has been making the sides, and I'm more of straight turkey person. I also like making cranberry sauce. We'll talk about that later with our ideas to cocktails and stuff. But until then, we're gonna just say that my Thanksgiving was great in 2022 in Arizona. It was awesome. The day afterwards, we went to this Indigenous Peoples marketplace thing that they're having at the mall. It was really cool to see that kind of stuff and just, enjoy my hometown for the first time ever because I don't think I ever enjoyed my hometown until when you see it through the eyes of somebody else. You know what I mean? It was a really cool experience, and that's what Thanksgiving's about, in my opinion. I mean, I can remember playing with my cousins and things like that on Thanksgiving. I remember all these memories that normally wouldn't exist, but thanks to this holiday, pretty much everyone gets off. It's rewarding, as a person, you know what I mean? So I know I'm just saying what everyone should be saying about Thanksgiving, and I'm not adding anything new to it, but it's going to be interesting this year because I'm not cooking anything. This is the first time ever that I'm not making anything for Thanksgiving since I started it in 2016. So it's going to be crazy. So I don't know what to expect, but usually I provide some kind of sides. I'm doing none of that this year. The wife is doing that. I am not making the turkey, though we have a turkey in the deep freeze right now, so we might, go nuts because it might be snowing soon here in New Hampshire. And if we have to drive to Massachusetts and it's going to be snowing a whole bunch on that day, which is scheduled to be, but I'm no Scientologist, so what do I know? We might be staying home. Not enough time to defrost said turkey, but it's there just in case, in a pinch, you know what I mean? Obviously, I have learned how to do it in the past where we had to think on my feet. So we'll see how it all works out. We'll let you know next week. But anyway, Thanksgiving's going to be great this year. We're going to have some good times, some bad times, and just times in general. And times because it's a constructive man, and I am a man. Well, at least I identify as one today. So let's get to the whiskey, shall we? What I ended up landing on was the Hot Honey Rye from Catoctin Creek. Yes, once a limited bottle offering in 2022, the fine folks in Purcellville, Virginia, were like, shit, we got to make this a permanent offering, and this bottle was born. At 80 proof, this whiskey is not like any other of those hot or honey whiskeys. They use actual honey and chilies in the blending process, giving you an authentic flavor instead of, neutral grain spirit watered down garbage. Not like liqueurs out there that use flavorings that just don't taste right these days. When you have something original and not flavored, you can really tell the difference, you know what I'm saying? So it's not over the top spicy, and the honey element is soft and inviting like, your sister or your brother or, other. This was quite the crowd pleaser when it arrived at my door last week, and even better, with a bit of help from Mesquite. More on that later. Let's talk about the honeys of the world, okay? So I have had pretty much anything that's honey for the most part, And because I'm a fan of honey, I appreciate what the bees are doing for us. It's the reason why I don't kill bees randomly. Only wasps, and at great lengths with wasps. No, I don't know if we talked about this before, but I remember my kid a few months ago, we were running around, playing around the yard. He goes and grabs a flower, and guess what happens? A wasp stings him in the hand. Before then, I never really cared to affect bugs or anything. You know, they were just like, they're doing their own thing. Like if I find them in my house, I catch them, I release them, I let them go live their life. When they stung my 4-year-old son at the time's hand, oh boy, and that shriek that he delivered, that gave me the right to do what I did. So I've killed possibly 30 or 35 wasps at this point, and all very slow and painful and agonizing deaths. And that's just what happens. You come in my family, I take you out. I'm like the Punisher of bugs. But it is wild. So that's how I feel about honey. I don't kill bees. I've caught them. I've been stung by a bee recently when we were living in Chattanooga. I accidentally stepped on one. I didn't burn the house down or kill a bunch of bees. I was like, oh, I need to watch where I walk next time. You know what I mean? And before that, last time I got stung by a bee was, I think when I was like 6. And that was like, I was in school and it got stuck in my hair and I was like rubbing my head and it stung me naturally in the head and it hurt like hell. And wild, I feel like we've already talked about this before, but hey, we're going to rehash it because every person that's listening sometimes is a brand new listener. And for you, I say thank you. And if you've listened before, I also say thank you. But anyway, let's get back to the liqueurs of this whiskey world with the honey. So the Jackie D honey is good, but it's not just honey. Though it was real honey in it, the additional process of making liqueur, just detracts from the overall flavor, in my opinion, of course. So it ends up tasting fake or like a blended whiskey with neutral grain spirit that some whiskeys do. It's not bad at all. If anything, it seems too syrupy. I prefer I like the ready to drink honey cocktail lemonade that Jack makes. That's pretty good. That shit is unfallible, to say the least. We're going to cover the Wild Turkey American Honey for this show to be a basic PSL bitch, but once the Catoctin Creek showed up, that all changed. I like the Wild Turkey American Honey, don't get me wrong. It's a step up from the 70 proof Jack to the, hey, look at us, how different we are, gobble gobble, of the 71 proof. It's a product originated by famed distiller Jimmy Russell, which was said to be originally conceived in the 1970s. This one tastes like a cocktail in a glass and is easily dismantled by my throat, just like your brother's, sorry. Here's a message from our sponsor while I clear my head a bit. Hi there. Are you tired of listening to your favorite podcast only to hear the podcast host talk about filleting another man when we all know he's not gay? Is that offensive? It's hard to tell. But if you would like to join us on our brand new companion podcast called What the Hell is Wrong with Tyler? That airs every day of the week, all the time at his house, and you can only watch it there and listen there. Go to onlyatylershouse.com for more information. Now, back to the show. All right, so though I appreciate what both brands have done, of course, Wild Turkey and Jack Daniels, the expectation just isn't matched. And I remember the Heaven Williams and Jim Beam honeys being in the same boat. And obviously, when whiskey is finished in honey barrels, or what is known as the Kentucky draft off, when freaks drop way too much money on a bottle that shouldn't be that expensive. Hold on, let's hit that subject for a moment, okay? So a barrel gets filled with honey. That honey is then given back or sold off. Why does a bottle that is usually $60 now closer to $200? How does that make any sense? Oh yeah, because we're all a bunch of suckers. Not all brands do that, of course, so shout out 3 Chord, BR Distilling, and Garrison Brothers, of all brands, of course, who are known for their premium price tags. Don't jack up the price on their honey and finished. It's just weird. Doesn't make sense. Maybe there's more to it than I'm seeing, but as for right now, I don't get it. If any listeners know why the price goes up so high on honey, let me know. But I'm a dry whiskey fan, so maybe I'm just not that into it. Maybe, I don't know. Then this Catoctin Creek shows up and changes everything. The last time I had them was their maple barrel finished rye, which was freaking amazing. So maybe I shouldn't have been so shocked when hot honey rye they released being so damn good, right? It's well balanced, got a zing in its step, and like another part of the bee, this expression is the bee's knees. I'm a hot honey fan already, usually taking store-bought honey and aging chilies in it. Or just get a hot honey like, Mike's or the Hot Ones Honey, where they partner with Bar Hill Distillery in Vermont, who does a honey barrel finish for their gin already. So to produce a magical nuance that challenges your taste buds and takes any food to the next level, especially pizza. If you've not had honey on pizza, bra'ette, panty, you have not lived. So, what makes this Catoctin Creek different? Well, one, it's not uncomfortably spicy. Though a spicy food fan myself, I don't often drink these spice liquors or liqueurs. It's just not my thing. It tastes synthetic. But with this rye, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. The honey balances the spice of both the rye and the chilies, creating a well-rounded drink that I would buy by the caseload. And the color alone, it's like a really dark brown, like it looks like somebody poured an IPA in here, like one of those dank ones, those freaky ass ones. I think I know what I'm talking about, or maybe an ESB. I think ESB is better because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to IPAs because I don't really drink them. But it's like a really golden, almost like honey. Look at that, and it is gorgeous. There's also no heartburn with this one, which is great. It's just smooth sailing. So let's take the notes. Let's talk about the notes, then the notes, like music notes. You know how we do. This smells like a slice of fresh baked bread slathered in honey. There's a hint of heat, but the rye seems tame by it. Yes, this is a unique drink. I was trying to make sure that made sense. You drop it on the tongue, taste the honey right away, with the chilies knocking on the back door. It's like your brother, of course. It's easily one of the better specialty whiskey drinks I've had in quite some time. As for music, the whiskey tastes and sounds like the band Modoc from Nashville, Tennessee. All right, let's talk about how I got into this band and how you're probably saying, who? So they're a local band from Nashville, great band. I got introduced to them through a coworker of mine who I was in town in Nashville for the first time, possibly. Yeah, I think it was the first time. May have been the second time. No, yeah, it was the second time because I went to see Little Hurricane there for the first time, and that's when I was like, "Oh, you should check out Little Hurricane. This is great." And then he's like, "Oh, you should check out Clint's band, who I have talked to a few times on the phone and know him via another big name who I will try not to name drop in this episode." And great dude, love the dude, he's great. But then I heard that he had a band, and then a friend of mine played some of their songs. I was like, holy shit, this band is great. And I think they were playing that night, but I was flying home that night, so I couldn't go see it. But I really liked what I heard. And that was also when I had the Campfire whiskey from High West for the first time. If you have listened to the show before, you know that I bought that bottle of whiskey for this friend that I'm referring to. And the last time I had seen him, which was during his grand opening of his show, or his store, and that was wild because he told me to buy the Michters, and I bought the Michters, and then I bought him the Campfire, and then he had milked it for several months. So when I visited his house, I was shocked to see that he still had it, and that was extremely good. I've not had Campfire since, and I wish I could try that again. Maybe one day. I always see it on the shelf. I'm like, maybe today, and then I end up getting something else because I'm a cheap bitch sometimes. So I was sitting there listening to Modoc, a couple of their songs, saw some of their music videos. I was like, oh, that's what Clint looks like. Never would have guessed because the only picture that I had of him before was him wearing a wolf mask. So I didn't know what he looked like. So good dude, fun dude, authentic dude. I don't know what else to say, dude, but dude. That's all I got to know, dude. So this whiskey tastes like their song "I Want You" from their self-titled album. Hey. You know what's funny about that song? That was the introduction for our wedding party at our wedding. It's just one of those, it gets you rocking right away. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go to that continuous playlist that we do on every episode that you'll find a link for down at the show notes. And then we're also going to do a separate playlist as well, which you'll also find a link to where we will be having those songs separate from the continuous playlist because I think Modoc deserves to be listened to separately. They are a great band. They get you rocking. Let me tell you more about it. So, full disclosure, again, I know Clint, the singer, and I've been following him around on his career journey from Modoc to his solo stuff to his stint with Dead Strings. So, he's a good dude. I reach out to him every so once in a while just to check to see how he and the family's doing. And yeah, he's a great guy, So, And I'm going to say dude one more time. Dude. I don't know what else to say. He's a good freaking dude, all right? So Modoc was formed at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. The band moved to Nashville and in 2013 released their first album, Dun 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 Dun, Modoc. This one is simply a bang-ass self-produced masterpiece that blends well with the Catoctin Creek Hot Honey Rye. They're heavy when they need to, reserved when it makes sense, but all soul and love behind each chord and lyric sung. They're like a Mud Crutch Tom Petty mashup with like a fuller sound and sweet serenades. After I found out about this band, I went on to buy this self-titled album 4 different times. That's right, from the all-digital to the vinyl to the CD, which had the bonus tracks on it, to another vinyl, which was a special limited edition color vinyl, which is like a blue splatter thing, which I would later get signed by the band and is on display in my office, just there. Yeah. I also have their Live at Grimey's Music vinyl release, which is a well-known record store in Nashville that also has a basement where bands play too, called simply The Basement. I've seen Gangs of Youth and Lincoln Durham and Miko play at that extremely intimate venue. And like, how intimate, you're asking? Well, like, you know, your uncle at Thanksgiving intimate. But really, folks, it's really small, like 1-bedroom studio apartment sized. So wherever you are in the room, you are having a good time. Like the stage is only maybe 8 inches tall or something. It is wild. And there's like a little bar on the right there. And then you can leave and get the merchandise in a different room. But it's like a small room. But they played at the actual store itself, where artists like Grimes, Molly Tuttle, and freaking Metallica have played. Though I actually think Metallica played... Yeah, they played in the basement. Yeah, that's right. You can buy that bad boy on CD and probably vinyl as well. Just throw it out there. So shout out Metallica. I know it's a small band, just like Modoc, so I just wanted to let you know. So Modoc and their song Devil on My Shoulder was featured in the original promos for the Constantine TV show. When I heard that, I was excited for Clint and his band, and when they were talking about making another album produced by Brendan Benson, the man alongside Jack White in the Raconteurs, I knew something otherworldly was about to happen. And in 2016, The World was given Automatic and Involuntary. The lead single, Black Eyed Lover, was played constantly on repeat on Lightning 100, the local independent radio station in Nashville. The album is solid. The progression from noise and harmony moved into a higher machine that hinted at the band being the next big thing. Whew, just amazing. But I don't know what higher machine means, but I said it, and we're going to roll with it. So I'm going to try and TM it before this episode comes out. But it didn't happen. No means extreme love for this band, which was completely bizarre. Listen to the curated playlist I made for this show and formulate your own opinions. Again, that's where you'll find it in the show notes. But this band had everything going for them. But life stepped in and made the decisions, which I can respect. What's left are musical artifacts from bands so good the world couldn't appreciate it. Yeah, that's a cornball way of saying it, but I mean it. Not only were the albums great, but they put on a massive show. The raw and polished rock is well executed by musicians who understand their way around music production, and they have a fun time doing it. And yes, I said raw and polished, and it can be both. You know, I can attest to that, ladies. The first time I met Clint in person and not just over the phone was in October of 2014 at the Acme Feed and Seat in downtown Nashville. I was in town for a wedding and I basically landed, dropped off my stuff at the hotel, and went straight to the show. I was worn out from the travel day, but the show had a way of waking me up. Though I think I was like pretty awkward, as you know, no sleep paired with the rock star aura around Modoc leads to some strange things. That's to say the least. It was also where I had Jackalope beer for the first time, which jumpstarted my love for the brand and the city. The same one I had already grown enamored with since March of that year. I would later see Modoc again for the last time in Nashville at the High Watt, my favorite venue to see live music, in 2016. The place has been closed down since 2022. It was such a cool place. 3 venues in one, and I feel like that was emotionless. Holy crap. I need to, like, I have these notes written down, and I'm just like reading through them. Okay, let me try and do it with some more gusto. Okay, so in 2022, the High Watt in Nashville, Tennessee, was closed down. They blamed the pandemic. They blamed they didn't blame pandemic. No, they blamed. That was just a go-to. The leases were running up, just like everything else in that area, and they had to sell And they're going to talk about playing it somewhere else. But that was over 2 years ago. And it's nowhere else. Hopefully that was much better. 3 venues in one, like I said, something for everyone. It was there. It was there where I saw Little Hurricane and Lincoln Durham play for the first time, Suzanne Santo, Motion City Soundtrack, and a whole lot more. And, you know, the sound was so good there. Just a cool hang. And just outside of the crazy that is Nashville. Though that area would eventually be razed and replaced with apartments and hotels and whatnot, really no longer the Nashville I loved, but those times were the best of those times. I liked that area a lot, so what I would often do, if we were going to go see a show at the High Watt, we would probably go to the Party Fowl, which has the better hot chicken in the town, if you ask me, though people say it's Hattie B's. And hey, you could be right, you could be wrong, but most likely you're wrong because Party Foul's better. I like it a lot. Back then, there was all the breweries nearby, so Jackalope was right next door to Party Foul. We had Yazoo Brewing, which was just a block up from there. And then if you just cross the train tracks and went a little past the homeless shelter there, you would get to Tennessee Brew Works, which was a really cool hang. And if you wanted to, you can go to Jack White's record label, which is all within walking distance. So, crazy. Nashville, right? But anyway, like Modoc's tenure in Nashville, that also ended, and the band went back to Indiana. And besides a few shows here and there, the band is no longer a, touring music first band. They've done singles, they've played pop-up shows and all that, but as I mentioned before, Clint has dabbed in solo stuff and partnered with Caleb Crockett to create Dead Strings. Clint has since left the band and was replaced by Caleb's wife Susan. The guys of Modoc are focusing on family and playing music on their own terms, and the band has their masters for automatic and voluntary in their control, but have yet to do anything with it. I've asked Clint several times to put that shit on vinyl, so if you are a distributor or someone who has a lot of money and just wants a great album to be available, hit me up and I will get you in contact with the band. Again, peep our continuous playlist where I pull my favorite selections from the band and rock out accordingly. So, like, for example, the song Coward off their self-titled album, I actually use to set the equalizer on any new potential stereo system that I use, mostly in cars, because it's perfectly mastered. I don't know how they did it because it's all self-produced if I remember correctly. So these guys are obviously masters of their craft. But I take that song and then I tweak, the basses and the trebles and all that stuff and the fades and all that and all those other things that make me sound like a nerd. And it just comes out delicious. Like the music afterwards, anything I listen to is polishedly beautiful, amazing gems. And it's all thanks to Modoc and their song Coward. So anyhow, let's talk about this Catoctin Hot Honey Rye, and it pairs so well with this band Modoc. Let's go ahead and take a break here before we get too much into it, and before we talk about the history of Catoctin Creek and wrap up the show. For the best podcast segment since a great BetterHelp ad read, here's 50 States of Whiskey. Play that theme. 50 States of Whiskey theme song. I really don't like talking so close into the microphone. I don't know if we're peaking, but if we are peaking, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like it on my screen here, but hopefully you're liking the cadence that I'm using, because I feel that if you talk like this, people like to listen to it more for some reason. Even though me personally, can't stand it, so I will try and stop doing it, but I caught myself doing it before that little break there. But anyhow, let's talk about our 50 States of Whiskey segment and who we're going with this week. So, I think we need to get the voice down real deep for this one. Yeah. So, founded in 2009 by Chief Distiller Becky Harris and her husband Scott, Catoctin Creek Distillery has been producing a product that is uniquely Virginia. If you don't know, Virginia is credited as being the birthplace of American whiskey. Remember, kids, bourbon wasn't a thing back in the day. Folks first preferred rye, something Catoctin Creek is mastering and setting a bar that most distilleries in the country wishes to reach. how all these brands only care about the environment during Earth Day? Freaking Catoctin Creek has been doing it low-key since 2013, with 85% of their energy used to power the distillery being solar panel generated biatch. So, not only are they putting their home at the forefront with the name, they're also sourcing organic products, free of pesticides and whatnot, making them more than just authentically Virginia, but authentically humanity. With their best-selling Roundstone Rye at the forefront of nearly everything they do, you're gonna buy a rye. You're gonna buy a rye person as soon as you take your first drink of what? You are going to become a rye person as soon as you take your first drink of Catoctin Creek. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. We've already had too much. I'm sorry. So let's get back to that show. But before we do that, let's go ahead and hit you with the theme song, baby. 50 States of Whiskey theme song. Yeah, and we're back to the show. Now, full disclosure, wink, I don't remember what we picked for 50 States of Whiskey. I just plugged in the segment, and now we're going to get back to the show. So let's go ahead and talk about some Catoctin Creek, founded in 2009 by Chief Distiller Becky Harris and her husband Scott. Catoctin Creek Distillery has been producing a product that is uniquely Virginia. Sorry. They've also partnered with fellow Virginia natives and Beavis and Butthead favorite band, Gwar, a heavy metal band with extreme theatrics and costumes to make Ragnarok Rye. Each bottle has a topper that showcases a band member, and it's a random collaboration, but a badass one to say the least. We'll close this one out in just a moment, but before we do that, here's another ad from our sponsors. You know, this day and age, we're all suffering from our mental health, whether it be what may have happened in an election that you didn't like, or the movies that you watch that just are terrible and nobody likes, or it could just be, your family making you feel like you're a shitbag. We all need help sometimes. And that's why this podcast is brought to you by alcohol. And we're back. All right. And that's about all we have for the show. Like I said, what we're doing for Thanksgiving, we're going to be heading down to Massachusetts. It should be storming with snow and crazy shit. Fucking turkeys flying everywhere. Gobble, gobble this, gobble, gobble that. It's going to be wild and crazy. Should be weird. I'm also working on a new cranberry sauce recipe, a few cocktails, and a lot more, just for possibly later down the line. So what I talked about this earlier. The cranberry sauce that I make is pretty freaking awesome. It takes orange juice, Mexican vanilla, some pomegranate, and a few other things that I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to tell you all the secrets. But then what I like to do after that is then I take whatever's left over on the pan, we reduce that down into a fine, simple syrup, and then we make the best motherfucking cocktails ever, baby. I am looking forward to doing it. So, it sucks ass. The cranberries are going up in price. They used to be $1 a bag. Now they're $2 a bag. What the fuck? 50%? What the fuck? Or 100%, I guess. So it is wild that they're already going up in price again. And then, do you ever notice that right after Thanksgiving, you can't find cranberries at all? It's like, what happened to them? Where did they go? These are things that we need to know the answers to, but magically they just disappear. I've gone looking for them Black Friday, and they're like a fucking Taylor Swift record that's been licked by her personally and is being sold for $2 at a Walmart. Gone, baby, gone. So I don't know where the hell the cranberries go. Does it just go into Ocean Spray? And you know what? Let's talk about Ocean Spray. Motherfucking Ocean Spray. I don't want to buy cocktail juice. I want to buy actual cranberry juice. Have you ever looked at the label? It says 100% cranberry juice. And then you look on the side, it says cocktail juice or blend of juices because it's like grape and apples and shit. It's not just cranberry juice. And then sure, yes, if they were just to sell it wholesale, and because cranberries are so fucking expensive these days, it's probably going to cost you a good $80 to $100 for a freaking bottle of regular cranberry juice. But come on, Ocean Spray, you got to give us something. Calling things a cranberry juice just because there is some cranberry in it, I mean, it's like calling whiskey corn juice. You know what I mean? There's more to it than that. Unless you're getting like 100% corn, which I'm sure you're not, because you're one of those folks that need the three chords and the truth, right? Nothing against three chords or three chord. No, I'm not saying anything, but it's just a bummer. You know what I mean? So that was my random tangent on Ocean Spray. Ocean Spray, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, I will take back everything I just said. Go to the email in the show notes, and I will retract everything. There'll be a remix version of this episode next week, and it'll never happen. We'll say lots of good things about you. But until then, make a cranberry juice, okay? And stop calling shit cranberry juice when it's not. I know that you throw the cocktail on there just so we know that it's not, but fuck that accordingly. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on, and if you really don't have time to make cocktails or make your own simple syrup or make your own cranberry sauce and then turn it into a simple syrup, may I suggest this? If you just want to alcohol it up, I came up with this simple recipe with a base of that Harvest Toasted Barrel from Jim Beam that just came out and a splash of a maple finished whiskey and a Jack Daniel's cider punch. You'll have a cocktail without using your cock or tail. And speaking of, I mentioned adding something to this Catoctin Creek to take it to the next level. I also get me a bottle of that Eau de Isla from Whiskey Del Bach recently, which is a heavier mesquite smoked single malt compared to their old Dorado. If you wash the glass with this expression and then add the Catoctin Creek Hot Honey Rye, you have a recipe for pure bliss. Absolutely amazing. Like, I did it on accident one night. I was like, I just had this and now I'm going to have that. And boy, girl, anything else, it was awesome. And it's like a cocktail, cocktail in a glass, as they say, where cocktails usually are. And it is amazing. So get on it. If you have not had a chance to buy Catoctin Creek Hot Honey Rye, you can get it at Sealbox. And I know that y'all go there, so you might as well go there again. And you can also get the Whiskey Del Bach. That's what the hell I did. That's how I know it's possible. Blend two together, you got yourself some magical shit. And then you bring that over to Thanksgiving, and guess what? You're going to be invited back all the time, and you won't have to make shit because you have already made the best thing that people have ever had in their lives. Guarantee. But that's all I got for you. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Look out for your yearly Bourbon Shoppers gift guide that we do, and links to various verified indigenous businesses that I like to promote. That should be going live on Friday on Instagram on the official The Bourbon Groove website as well. So link in the show notes to everything pertinent about this episode and our website as well. We'll see you next time for more bourbon and music blending. Don't forget to subscribe to your podcast and follow us on social media at The Bourbon Groove on Instagram for updates on new episodes, artwork for nearly every show, and anything else we think of and then forget to bring up on the subsequent show. Until then, pour yourself a song and listen to your favorite bourbon and get into the turkey gay good. I said turkey gay. Let's try that one more time. Let's get into the Turkey Day groove. Happy Thanksgiving, party people. We'll see you next week. Appreciate you. Kisses.
The Bourbon Groove is a Foreign Star Works production, recorded at 45 Degrees Studios, because it's freezing here, baby. Hold me.
And welcome to the bonus episode of what you just heard. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to, again, thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. I know that we're all over the place on this one. That's what life is these days. A lot of crazy stuff going on. I'm trying to just all hold it in, and I'm trying to rope it all in because I'm from the Southwest, and that's what we do. We rope shit in because we cowboys and whatnot. But hopefully it all makes sense. As I was drinking, I was like, I think maybe I'm not making any sense at all, and there was little to no double prep on this. So a few takeaways for you for this episode. One, Catoctin Creek is the shit. And then two, Modoc is the shit's McGee. I love Modoc. They are a great rock band. They were considered the new Nashville at some point, and they were really going places. And I would love for them to just be like, you know what, we're just going to go on tour and crush it accordingly, and they would. You know what I mean? But that is just my opinion. just like that Catoctin Creek. And, there was this talking about the honey liqueurs and stuff, and there was no actual comparisons between any of them. This wasn't a contest. I just wanted to throw that out there as a little asterisk here, because I think that, we shouldn't always do contests or compare things to other things. It's just like going and seeing like a review of a BTAC expression. It's like, let me guess, it's good. You know what I mean? It's like, do we need any of this stuff? Do we need a review? Do we need it to be compared to anything else? No, we don't. All we need is to drink it and enjoy it. And that's what I wanted to do with this episode. That's why you don't hear me going, hey, why isn't he saying that the wild turkey honey is better than this or that? No, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I didn't want to compare the two. I have them both here now. And I like them both independently. My wife prefers the wild turkey because she doesn't like spicy shit. And I remember getting I think they have a honey hot one. Hot honey hot. A wild turkey as well. I've had that before, and that one was too spicy. But that was just my opinion. But again, I don't drink those spicy drinks. I'm not one of those freaky bitches. But I just wanted to throw that little asterisk out there and explain that to you all. So we got lots of things going on for the end of the year. We're going to be doing a special remix for Christmas. If you're like, why am I listening to this right now and finding about all this exclusive information? Because you are in the 1% party, people, and you're going to hear all the good stuff. So because you're listening to this, you're getting all this bonus information. So we're doing a special remix for the Christmas episode. We're going to have our New Year's episode again. We're also going to have a Christmas playlist like we did last year. More than likely, it's going to be the same playlist. We will see how things go. I am a very busy person, so I don't know what's going to happen there, but we will make it happen regardless. There will be a playlist. In your face, bitch. We'll be doing a New Year's episode. We'll be doing a countdown, like my top 10 favorite songs of the year, and then maybe top 10 songs of all time. I don't know, because I didn't really get too much into music this year, but we'll cover that in the New Year's episode. Or maybe we won't. And the few people that listen after the credits to this part will be like, hey, that motherfucker lied to me. But yeah, we'll be doing that and just having a good old time. We'll be tasting whiskey, we'll be drinking music, all that stuff, listening to whiskey, all that. It's going to be a good time. We got lots of banger bottles lined up for you, so I'm excited to cover those, and we got a few remixes as well. And if you don't remember, remixes are when we cover something that we covered before and do a better episode of it because it deserves it. And like I said, the Christmas episode is going to be like that, and I'm grateful because it ties in with that artist and a special Christmas album that they made. So anyway, thank you again for listening. I appreciate it. I've been Tyler, and we'll see you next week. Take care, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and save some leftovers for me. Yeah.
Gay turkey.